Well, here's something very weird. So we have spent so much time and attention and tax dollars devoted to investigating every event of January 6th. We have a committee still impaneled. You probably think you know everything about that day. Maybe not the little things, what was every cop's name, but certainly the big things. For example, like where was Kamala Harris at 1 p.m. on January 6th? We know where Donald Trump was at that hour. We know where Joe Biden was. We know where Mike Pence was. What about Kamala Harris? So for the better part of a year, no one really asked that question because we thought we knew the answer. Kamala Harris was inside the Capitol building when protesters stormed the gates. We all believe this because the Justice Department said so. In dozens of criminal indictments, federal prosecutors suggested that Kamala Harris was on the scene when the riot began. The DOJ used Harris's presence at the Capitol as evidence that democracy itself was under attack by extremists. Our first black vice president-elect physically threatened by crazed racist insurrectionists. That's the story that judges and grand juries heard from the Department of Justice. And then, out of nowhere, last November, that story changed. Actually, we learned Kamala Harris was not in the Capitol building the afternoon of January 6th. She was somewhere else. Where was she? No one would say. But she was not at the Capitol. So in the face of that fact, the Justice Department was forced to file dozens of corrected indictments to fix the lie they told, which, by the way, was not a small lie, but a very significant lie. But still, no one answered the more basic question. Where was Kamala Harris on January 6th? Even her fellow Democrats began to wonder about this. Why wouldn't they? Some of them wondered out loud. Last week, we found out. CNN reported that Kamala Harris was at the Democratic National Committee on Capitol Hill when the riot began. Here's the fascinating part. The DNC building was the site of one of the two pipe bombs planted the night before, apparently by the same people who stormed the Capitol. Harris's own security detail found that bomb at the DNC. According to CNN's account, Harris herself came within, quote, several yards of that explosive device. Really? It's remarkable if you think about it. Kind of a big deal. Why haven't we heard that before? And why didn't the Justice Department know? Why did the DOJ think Kamala Harris was at the Capitol? It's not like Kamala Harris hasn't talked about January 6th. She talked about it constantly since the day it happened. In fact, just last month, Harris gave a speech in which she said that January 6th was so traumatic that all Americans remember, quote, where they were and what they were doing when our democracy came under assault. She said that. So it would have been the perfect moment for Kamala Harris to tell us that she herself came within mere feet of a racist insurrectionist bomb. They literally tried to kill me. You can easily imagine Kamala Harris saying that. This is a person who puts herself at the center of every story, who invents stories in order to put herself at the center. This is the person who told us she was at civil rights protests as a toddler. But she never mentioned that she was right near the bomb. In fact, she continued to hide that fact. It's completely bizarre. What's going on here? We're not sure. Something's going on here. There's no question about that because the story doesn't make any sense. And now that we mention it, whatever happened to the investigation into those two pipe bombs? Now, everyone's assumed those bombs are planted by a Trump supporter. The media have told us that. But who is this person? 13 months later, we have no idea. The FBI says it has no leads at all in the case. That's very strange. The FBI has video footage of the person who planted the pipe bombs. Footage of that person sitting on a park bench outside the DNC, talking on a phone, reaching into a backpack and planting the device in the spot where Kamala Harris's security people found it the next day. Now, you'd think in the age of facial recognition software, that video might produce a suspect. You'd think the fact that person was on a phone might be very helpful since people are identified all the time in crimes by their phones. But no leads whatsoever. Nor apparently does the FBI have DNA evidence, and that's very weird. That means the person who planted these bombs did not leave a single fingerprint, not a single skin cell, hair, or droplet of breath on either one of the pipe bombs. This person never coughed or sneezed or exhaled moisture onto his or her gloves or onto any of the surfaces he or she touched while sneaking around the surveillance fortress that is Capitol Hill on camera the night before January 6th. Weird. People who plant bombs are almost always caught because there's a lot of physical evidence. This physical evidence was in pristine condition. But this person hasn't been caught. This person, an amateur wearing Nike Air Max sneakers, has confounded the entire FBI crime lab and eluded the largest manhunt in American history. Now, you should know that the first pipe bomb was discovered just minutes before the first assault on the Capitol at 1 p.m. Capitol Hill police were notified of the bomb at 12:49 p.m. Protesters at the Capitol swarmed the first police line at 12:50. That's 1 minute later. The chief of Capitol Police at the time, Stephen Sund, later told the Washington Post he believed the pipe bombs were not designed to kill people. They were meant to draw law enforcement away from the Capitol. They were designed to be found, not to explode. In the words of Capitol Hill Police Inspector General, quote, "If those pipe bombs were intended to be a diversion, it worked." Now, that would make sense, since the bombs themselves could not have been detonated on January 6th. The bombs were planted the night before, 17 hours before they were found. Yet the timers on the bombs were of the ancient kitchen clock variety. They could only be set to an hour maximum. The bombs had no remote detonation function. So effectively, by January 6th, they were inert. What's strange is that of all the places in the world Kamala Harris could have gone at 11:30 a.m. on January 6th, she went to the DNC building, where her bodyguards promptly discovered the pipe bomb. So if the bomb was planted by a Trump supporter as a diversion, as the Capitol Police have said, you've got to wonder how exactly that worked. Would a Trump supporter have known where Kamala Harris was going to be that morning? Probably not. Even her political allies didn't know for some reason. Yet it's fair to assume that if Kamala Harris hadn't gone to the DNC when she went, the pipe bomb wouldn't have been discovered just minutes before the insurrectionist breach of the Capitol. In other words, if Kamala Harris hadn't been there, the bomb couldn't have been the diversion that the Capitol Hill Police Department said it was. It's all pretty mysterious, actually. And maybe weirdest of all is that the FBI has only released 3 minutes of the video showing the person who planted the bomb. Why not release more tape? Why doesn't the FBI release all of the video that it has so the public can help identify this person if you really want to catch this person? This person, by publicly available accounts, planted a bomb mere yards from the vice president-elect of the United States. That's far more a threat to our democracy than anything that happened at the Capitol building, by far. And if you wanted to catch this person, you would release as much information about this person as you could, wouldn't you? It's weird. Who's running this FBI investigation? We'd hate to think that person was in any way connected to the fraudulent Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot that the FBI helped set up right before the 2020 election. We're not sure of the answer. We can't confirm one way or the other because the FBI is pretty close-mouthed about all of this. And that's strange, too. What we can confirm is that Kamala Harris was not chased into danger on January 6th by insurrectionists. No, she was driven to danger by a government chauffeur. And then, critically, Kamala Harris hid that fact for more than a year. Why is that? We have a right to know the answer to that question. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's an entirely legitimate question. Maybe someone could ask Kamala Harris. Robert Malone may be one of the most qualified people in the world to speak on the question of coronavirus treatments, and yet at the same time, he may be the most censored doctor in America. He went on Rogan's podcast and challenged the regime's narrative. He warned about something called mass formation psychosis spreading across the country. He joins us next to react from the profound fallout from that interview. Next.